Welcome to another episode of Women in Focus. Our woman in focus today is Tina Balachandran. We were talking to her about her life. She has been in the film industry, I should say the television industry, which was becoming huge in the late 90s, early 2000, and now it is like a phenomenal industry in the world, and she has been a part of that. Tina, you're most welcome in our program again. We were talking about you having your children while you were even working in television,
Yes.
right? So, a little bit about your kids. When were they? How long did you guys wait to have your very first child?
Thank you so much once again for having me here, Sushma ji. So yes, to pick up from where we last left, we had our first kid after 4 years of marriage. Our
Right.
first daughter, Ananya, was born to us when we decided that we want to now start a family.
I see.
So I had just finished working on Jhalak Dikhla Ja season 1.
Okay.
And I was on a high from work, but personally, professionally, I was on a high because I'd worked on one of the first pioneering dance multi-camera reality shows
Right.
in India. And I was on a high professionally because it was a grueling 4 months of non-stop work.
Right.
Shoot, air, rehearsals. And I was working as an executive producer on that show. And I decided this is it. I want to take a break and I want to have a family. I want to sail with Lalit. And we decided, and we had Ananya, our firstborn.
Yeah.
Her name means one in a million, and she
She
truly
is.
is one in a million. So there was a wonderful story behind her name. It was one of the first gifts Lalit had given me, a perfume. And the name of the perfume was Ananya.
Ananya.
So when Ananya was about a year old, I was sure that I want to get back to work.
Yeah.
And I wanted to start working. By then I was already working on a couple of formats from home.
Right.
There's a wonderful program in America called Judge Judy. Inspired by that, we did a program called Aapki Kachehri with Dr. Kiran Bedi
Right.
in India for Star Plus. And I had started doing back-end work and pre-production work for that show.
All right.
And I was very excited
So
to...
what all is involved in all that when you say back end work?
So a lot of research goes into kind of programs that we've done. I've
Right.
been very lucky to work with producers Siddharth Basu and Anita Kaul Basu, who put in a lot of hard research and fact check and quality check. And their programs are done in a manner where everything is very, very streamlined. You don't do stuff on the fly. You think
It's
it
all
through. It's very
methodical.
structured, very methodical. You know exactly what you're doing before shooting. All your research is done. All your rehearsals are done. So every department, spends a lot of time in sort of foolproofing it. And I can proudly say that we've been pioneers in making quality television in India.
So for a production like Jhalak Dikhla Ja, where it's a reality show, no scripting, you don't have to, except for your hosts.
Yes.
And so how many hosts would you have, the judges and the host?
We had a couple as a host in our
Right.
first season. They were husband and wife, Archana Puran Singh and Parmeet Sethi.
Right.
And we had 3 judges. So typically a lot of this depends on what the channel's expectations are. So here
okay.
the channel wanted to, let's say, air the program at an X date.
Right.
So you begin 3 months in advance. So typically how we would work is that we would give the channel,
Right.
hypothetically speaking, for a show like Jhalak Dikhla Ja, from beginning to we first go on the floor, we would give them a timeline of 3 months.
Right.
That we at least need these 3 months to put everything ready for
Right.
recording.
So how many episodes would they buy from you?
So this would typically be about 13 episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
So one season.
Exactly, one
Right.
season. So
Right.
in case of Jhalak Dikhla Ja, that was again one of the first times we did a show where we were shooting every week. In shows like Kaun Banega Crorepati or the last couple of shows that I have worked on, we typically shoot about 7-8 episodes depending on the host's availability and the studio availability in one go. So in one day we'll maybe shoot 2 episodes. Mr. Bachchan shoots about 2 episodes in one day. Jhalak was a little different because we would shoot and the next day we would air it and then shoot the result episode and air it. It was done we would shoot on a Friday, Saturday and it would go on air on a Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
So a little bit the format there was different. But pre-production does take about 3-4 months.
So pre-production takes 3 months, but once you start, it's like now bang, bang, bang.
Clockwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so once that series is finished, do you hope that it would continue, or?
Yes. Once you've put so much of energy into it, and I can so proudly say that some of the shows that we have put out there have had the highest ratings. Luckily, Siddharth Basu never went for ratings. He just believed in making quality programming.
Right.
And yet we have produced some of the highest top rated shows in Indian television.
Rattle a few names for me.
Kaun Banega Crorepati,
Okay.
Jhalak Dikhla Ja, India's Got Talent. I
Right.
personally was not part of that show, but I'm proud that my organization was. Aapki Kachehri. Then we did one of the first advertiser funded programs in Indian television ever, which was done by Godrej. It was a
Right.
show that we did with Soha Ali Khan, which was again for Star. It was
Right.
a game show. Then of course shows like Mastermind India, which we did for BBC World.
Right.
University Challenge, which we did for BBC World. A bunch of other shows that come to my mind are quiz programs. One program on technology that we did with the very famous NDTV anchor called Rajiv Makhni. So yeah.
Something like Jeopardy type of shows.
Jeopardy, different than Jeopardy.
Right.
Yeah, but a lot of family fun entertainment shows. So
Right.
we've done family fun entertainment. We have done hardcore quizzing. We have done infotainment shows. Like I remember once working on a science magazine program with a very famous scientist in India called Partho Ghosh, which was called Eureka. It was a program where we used to do live science experiments. We used to have scientists come and talk about stuff. So the beauty of the kind of programs we did was we made it infotaining, entertaining, without boring the audience.
Right,
We
right.
always remembered who the audience is, and
Right.
I'm so glad that I learned from the best that your audience is never wrong and your content has to be strong.
Tina Balachandran is our woman in focus today. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Women in Focus. Tina Balachandran is our woman in focus today. So we're talking about all these programs, and our viewers know of all these programs because now in Vancouver, in Canada, you can get major Indian channels. You can get Star, Star Plus, Z. That's only 4 stations.
But isn't that wonderful?
To a certain extent, it is wonderful, and to a certain extent, it is not. But I'll come to that. That's a totally different sphere I'm taking you. So you've had your first daughter, and you were working while she was growing up.
So I had taken a break. I had taken a sabbatical.
Right.
And then I was ready to go back and work full time because, like I had mentioned earlier, I'm very blessed to have my in-laws with me throughout. So mummy and I were going to take turns and pitch in. And I was ready to go back to work full time, but then we decided, or rather, I'll leave that for the audience to guess on their own. Our second one arrived.
Yes. Okay.
And Ishani. Her name is Ishani. I'm a big Durga Bhakt.
Yeah.
And Ishani is one of the names of Durga.
Right.
Ishani arrived at the time when I think, we always wanted to have a large family. We always wanted to have 2 kids. But she came with a bang. She's a feisty little thing. And in fact, her name, again, some people who are very close to me were instrumental in reminding me that she was born during Navratri, which is a very beautiful, auspicious time of the year for us Hindus. And I am a Durga Bhakt, and Ishani arrives on the 6th day of Navratri, when we bring goddess Durga home. So she arrived on Shashti, and then I was like, she's Durga's blessing, we are naming her after Durga. And after Ishani came in, I took some break. I kept taking sabbaticals.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, Sushma ji, that I have a lot to be grateful for.
Right.
So I was grateful to work with people who understood family, who understood the value of, work, who understood how, for a person who is very mentally stimulated and has been in production for 18 hours at a stretch, what it can do when you don't, you're away from it.
Yeah, that's right.
So again, have a lot to thank Siddharth and Anita Basu for that. They kept making these, tailoring these arrangements for me.
Right.
Where they would bring me in to work on a show, but they would customize my role.
Right.
So on certain shows, I worked only as a director.
Right.
Where I would go, I would shoot the episodes and I would come back. So it would mean a commitment of about 4-5 days, let's say in a month or so. Then there were times when I would research for them. There were times when they got me on board to only, work as an executive producer, and they created an army for me where people were doing other stuff. Like even when I was expecting Ishani, I was working on 2 shows at that time. One Aapki Kacheri with Dr. Kiran Bedi and one Khelo Jeeto Jio with Soha Ali Khan. I was working on 2 shows and with my big belly around the studio and around the sets and all. I had this army of people who were taking care of me and looking after me. And when you work with good people, you're also blessed to, come across more good people.
For sure.
Worked with such amazing hosts who treated me like a daughter, treated me like a, a sister.
Yes.
And were very considerate of the fact that I want to go back home to my kids.
Right.
My family was extremely supportive. My sister, my parents, my in-laws, they all pitched in with the kids because they were so small.
Yeah.
And then after a couple of years, I realized that it's getting more and more difficult. We moved to another city, which was not very central to Delhi.
Right.
Travel time was increasing. And that is when television had to take a back seat. When I realized the girls are growing up too fast and Lalit was away, I wanted to be more available for them and hands-on for them.
Right.
So I started doing stuff on my own. I started exploring opportunities in space of, working with children in schools, and I started working as a storyteller and a drama coach. So that was another exciting phase. So television kept happening.
Right.
Like even till last year, I directed a show with Rajdeep Sardesai, but I was very lucky that I could customize my role in television.
Right.
And I started exploring myself as a performer. And I started working with children in storytelling because I was reading stories to my own kids.
Right.
I set up a library for children. I did plays with children. I taught in NGOs, schools which are run by NGOs. I taught underprivileged children theatre. I set up a moms theatre group where we moms performed shows for children.
For children, okay.
So I think the timing was right. I would have never explored this side of my personality or as a professional had I not taken a break from television.
Which is very good. I think you need to explore your own inner self as well to find out whether whatever you've been doing is satisfying your soul or not, and your mind, which is running all the time. I want to ask you a little bit about what's happening in India right now and what's happening in the world right now. The Western world with the Me Too movement, the crazy president that we've got down south in United States and his weird way of thinking. As a head of a country, the way he talks without any respect towards women or people, and what's happening in India right now, politically and religiously. I hope you are not allergic to those 2 topics. Talking to you, I don't think you are. But let's take a short commercial break and come back to that. Tina Balachandran is our woman in focus today. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Women in Focus. Tina Balachandran is our woman in focus today. Am I pronouncing your name right?
Bilkul. Perfectly right.
Good. Bilkul theek thaak. So now, we were talking about, how women, people feel in India that Western women are really so advanced, they've got so much freedom, yet they don't know that throughout the world, 50% of the population does not have the freedom that other people envision. Am I right in saying that?
Sushmaji, you have hit the nail on the head. What we don't realize when we are part of a certain setup, that the mindset is such that, we don't see that it's not just our society. Women are oppressed all over the world. Women have been facing challenges all over the world. their dynamics are different. I mean, if in India women are facing a challenge to, convince their the people or the sort of patriarchy in their family to convince them to go and work or to go and study or to not get married before they are ready for it. There are other parts of the world where women are facing struggle to raise children single-handedly. The diseases, the education, the safety. Oh my God, the safety is something which is so touchy. It's a touchy topic for me. It's close to
Right.
my heart. Born and brought up in North India.
Right.
We were victims of eve teasing, of victims of harassment on the streets, in the buses, public
buses,
transport.
right.
And you talked about the Me Too movement a
Yeah.
while back. Me Too is making a lot of noise in the media right now.
In India.
In India.
Right.
And about time.
Yeah.
About time. And
Do you
the
think-
stories are going to come crawling out of everywhere.
Every nook and corner.
Every nook and corner. And I will not limit it only to media. I will not limit it to film industry. Of course, there is a abundance of those stories over there. But every industry, whether it's the corporate sector, whether it's the development sector, whether it's just the basic your average Indian woman, the Me Toos are everywhere. What I'm very grateful for is that there is a voice now, that media should use that, media should amplify that voice in a very respectful manner, without sensationalizing stuff, without diluting the message. The message is more important, the content is more important than the sensation. You don't need to sensationalize it.
I've been hearing you talk about people that you worked with, and they are from a very decent upbringing, family, respect, and all that there. That doesn't happen in every production house, in every film industry or every TV industry or every corporation. So women have to keep a job or to keep a position or to climb the ladder, have to do a lot of things. I think men have to do to a certain extent, but theirs is slightly different. Women are downtrodden in many ways. But I think you mentioned that the media has to take hold of the situation and relate.
A responsible role. A media
But-
has to play a very responsible role.
But the media in India, especially the news media in India, is nothing but sensational news. So why do we do that? Why do Indian media is so sensational? All the Indian news channels are Fox News. They are not CBC. They are not BBC. They are not ABC or NBC.
No, it's very unfortunate that we only have a bunch of news channels in India which are true to journalism,
Right.
are true to the essence of journalism. And journalism is a very responsible profession.
Of course it is.
Media has a huge responsibility in a developing country like ours. Media is, it's a very important machinery. And I won't go into the details of that right now. But something what you have just rightly said, that why is our news sensational? Because unfortunately, that is what sells.
Yeah, but
and they are falling for it, for the TRPs,
Yeah.
for the ratings.
Yeah.
Now, there are people who are able to see the right and the wrong and who are able to sift through, what is true and what is not. But it's about, just sensationalizing the headline, and nobody is going deeper. Nobody is digging deeper into what the information is, what is the right information. Media, there is one thing, and now with the whole digital movement happening, unfortunately, everybody, the audience and the public is only looking at things at a surface level. We are only looking at the first layer, we are only looking at the front facade, and we are not looking,
We don't do
which is
deep-
very depressing, which is very disturbing.
So as a researcher, you must be really uptight about that.
It's very disturbing because we are not doing justice to our audience.
Right.
That is what hurts me the most.
Yeah.
That we are fooling them, we are taking advantage of them. But also, I believe in one thing very strongly, that audience is not a fool. Audience is, in many places, they are realizing, and they know what is right and wrong. So it's just that in our country the numbers are so voluminous that you have so many players in the industry, and some survive and some do stuff to stay in the industry. What you earlier said, something about being part of a industry which is notorious.
Yeah.
And Me Too has been happening, the stories have been happening for years, even before I thought about joining the industry. We were very lucky to have a very protected environment where we didn't have to worry about our safety. We didn't have to worry about somebody attacking us, or harassing us, or even challenging our situation as a female. And that doesn't happen everywhere. One of the reasons, this is a very personal thing, one of the reasons I stayed on with people I trusted was because
of this.
Because you wanted to be with people who you can trust.
You mentioned that the viewers are not stupid, and you're right there. I had interviewed Amjad Khan many years ago, and I had asked him about the films. What are these Indian films, one hero hitting 10 guys and getting away with it? That doesn't happen in real life.
Never.
And he said, it's not going to happen forever, he said. The day the people who are watching the movies decide, okay, I don't want to watch all this, the industry will change.
Exactly.
And it has.
Exactly.
And the people will have to change the industry.
Exactly.
And they will have to, people like you who have produced fantastic programs will have to be the beacon of hope for everybody else.
What you're saying, absolutely right. So there are a bunch of people in the industry now, even the film industry, the progressive films that we are seeing, the kind of, new age cinema that is coming in India, it's phenomenal. Some new people, some new actors, a lot of new female directors who are doing such an amazing work. They've even stood together for the Me Too.
That's right.
The entire fraternity of the female directors is
and
standing up.
I hope they continue to do that.
I really hope, more power to them, and they are women who will speak for it, and they are the ones who really need to. So I'm glad the ones who needed to speak are speaking up. So there is hope. There is some fantastic television production that is happening, some fantastic film production that is happening. And I think the ratio has to change. The ratio of the regressive progressive has to change.
Amen to that. Thank you very much for taking time and talking to us.
Thank you so much, Sushma ji. It's been such a delight talking to you, and it's an honor to be on Women in Focus. Thank you.
Thank you. Tina Balachandran has been our Woman in Focus today. Don't go away. We'll be right back.